I need you to collect chimeric acid, an internal combustion engine, and a hose. Okay. Lore Boys here. Welcome to the internet's #1 fake history podcast, where today we're walking into the belly of the beast with Path of Exile lore. Peter, what do you know about Path of Exile, huh?
I'm Peter. Hi. I am
Hi.
not in the nation's capital, choking myself to death with a belt while masturbating, unlike our...
For inflation. He's trying
for inflation. Yeah,
he's trying to make inflation worse.
Yes, which is where
Jamie.
Jamie's at right now. That's why he's missing. I don't know much, but it's one of the few games, one of the few free-to-play games Diablo likes that I've ever actually played. So I have played about 3 or 4 hours of Path of Exile on the PS3. So I have experience with this one. Yeah.
I've played a little bit as well. It's too bad that Jamie's so busy in the nation's capital right now, because he's played a lot of Path of Exile. He was the one that I think we all thought would be the Path of Exile person, but he's unfortunately not with us today. I've played a little bit. We're going to soldier on without him. We two bozos who haven't played the game much. I don't think either of us have gotten past Act 1.
I have not. No, I found it is a notoriously confusing looking level up screen. The level up screen that is about, I would conservatively say, 400 nodes, made no sense to me whatsoever. So after leveling up a couple of times, I was just like, This was at the time where I was already playing Warframe, so I'm already in the process of learning a foreign language. So like. Yeah. A second class. I didn't have time for like a second course package.
A double
basically.
major.
Yeah, exactly. So I did not stick with it. But
I think that's a lot of people's experience with Path of Exile, is just like the high barrier of entry with the skill tree. But I think if you really want to enjoy it, and if you haven't played before, and this episode gets you wanting to play it, it's an ARPG like Diablo. I guess is probably the closest comparison. Just look up a guide on builds, I think, would be my advice, if you're not that keen on parsing out this 400 skill tree, essentially.
Yeah, and 400 is, I'm probably wrong. It could be much, much higher, but it's just this massive, this full, like, side to side of your screen web of nodes that I remember, like, some of them are like, 0.5% increase of whatever. So, like it's, I didn't know if there was an auto level up because you need a good build. Like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla had a similar problem, but the thing was, in that one, you could see a skill you wanted to go towards, and then afterwards there was an auto level up button. So you would just like get your skill, auto level up. I don't care about my 0.5% damage buff with short swords or whatever. But yeah, I've heard really good things about Path of Exile is one of those like smaller games that is like based off of a once beloved franchise now being stewarded by blood-sucking executives like Diablo is, and like Warframe got a huge bump when Destiny 2 came out and was hugely disappointing. And I know Path of Exile very much like gets a bump every time Diablo does something disappointing, which is, from what I understand, constantly as a non-Diablo fan.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's I think it is more so after Diablo 2, Diablo 3 came out, and was not received super well. But around the same time,
well, it didn't work, and then there was like the Real Money Auction House,
like,
where the
well, I mean, there was problems like on launch and like with the auction house and everything. But Path of Exile really, like Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 is my understanding. I haven't actually played it, but Diablo 3 definitely did try to cater to like a wider base, like more accessible, more people can play it, which is like a good thing in many ways as well. Whereas Path of Exile 2, with their super complicated skill tree, is for like the diehards who'd already sunk, a decade and a half into Diablo 2 and just wanted like more of that. So I feel like it's diverged. Currently, Path of Exile 2 is looking very similar to that, in that there will still be like a lot of super complicated mechanics and it'll be pretty tricky. But apparently quite good. I did want to give a shout out before we continue too much with the episode to our new patrons, Potato Boy and Albert Penvey. Thank you so much for joining the Patreon, patreon.com/loreboys, if anyone else would like to support. And for anyone who just has us on while you're grinding out in PoE 2 early access, hi. We'll do our best. This request apparently comes from Sauce Boss. He's the only person to have ever mentioned Path of Exile in the lore request channel.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2021, when it was first announced. which surprised me. I was sure that somebody would have requested it at some point, but apparently I'd already written the script by the time I thought to go check to see if anyone asked for it. And I was like, for sure, people have asked for this. If you want to make a request, you can join our Discord, discord.gg/loreboys. Now, I guess people who know Path of Exile are already probably thinking that I'm maybe not the best candidate to talk about Path of Exile because I just said I haven't really played it very much. I'm going to counter by saying I don't even think the devs or the writers for Path of Exile could do a very good job explaining the lore. It's very lore rich, but it takes a severely exploratory approach to its lore with just the history. All the history we're going to be talking about coming from like dialogue snippets or like item descriptions. Very Dark Souls-esque, I guess,
I see.
where it's
Okay.
like you just get an item which says something vague, and I have one like perfect example of like an entire civilization we're going to talk about and how they were created. I think I have a lot of Lore Boys canon in here, so stuff that we're just going to say that's canon because that's what we do around here.
Yeah. If you're a big fan of the lore and Path of Exile, it's I would recommend you stick around because we may have some fun. But if we're gonna frustrate you, now's your we're not leaving port just yet. The ramp is still attached to this, still connected to the dock. You can get off. Don't leave a comment. Don't give us a 1-star fucking review.
No, I think I did a pretty good job of it. So there is there are 2 wikis, which apparently I found out at the end of my script are not well updated. And then there's like a fan made PDF, which gets updated with every major update, basically, to add additional like lore snippets. So I then went back and kind of tried to review through that. But I think I did a pretty good job. I think it is all open to interpretation. So I don't think any of the lore it's all like second or third hand, pretty much. Like second hand explanations for stuff is pretty much the best you can get. And then a lot of it is like third hand, where again, it's like, it's a quote from somebody else on an ancient tablet, which you found buried in some rubble or something like that. You know what I mean? So open to interpretation.
I think we have a PDF from the Library of Alexandria that the fans are still holding together.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible how much work they put into it. So, so the game takes place upon the continents of Rayclast, which is a monster-covered island populated mostly by criminals, just like the player character in the first Path of Exile game. Okay. So in the game, which we're not going to talk about, we're going to talk about ancient history, like I like to do. In the game, you play as like the Exiled is like the name of your character, and you are essentially like you were banished from somewhere else as a criminal. You wash up on the shore of Rayclast, who are like most of the people who are here are like former criminals who've been condemned to death or condemned to exile here.
I think I played like a princely character. Like it was basically a royalty equivalent from Demon's Souls, which was like magic and fast weapons, I think was what I played. It's been, again, like this was at the same time I started Warframe, so it was like 2016. So it's been like 8 years since I've played. But yeah, I remember the class diversity being kind of neat and like having a good mix of stuff that I would have already that I would build in something with a more free-form, with the class system.
With that huge skill tree, there is so much diversity, I think, in builds and what you can do, which is like a really cool aspect of it. And on top of that, we're going to talk about the gems, like the lore of the gems that you get in game. But a huge part of the game is like socketing your equipment. It's an ARPG, so like Diablo, it's all about like grinding until you get like the right piece of equipment for your class.
Right.
But on top of that, you have these gems which further customize every single piece of equipment you get, basically. So it's all about like extreme specialization in this like sea of nearly infinite skill combinations. It's like, how do you find like the perfect pass that you like super specialize in that can make you super effective, right? So in the beginning, long before your character escapes the deep end of the ocean to be washed ashore in the deep end of the Path of Exile skill tree, the continent of Rayclast was a land of liquid hot magma. In this world, at the dawn of time, there came one known as Calandra. I just realized I never sent you episode pictures, but it is the first picture. In what I just sent you.
Very cool.
She's like a harpy, I guess you could say. This is like canon, one of the first creatures, if not the first creature to ever exist in the world, basically. Cool. Calandra, we're going to kind of follow her point of view. Like we're going to touch base with her a couple times throughout this script while we look at the sort of the creation of two, mainly one of the gods and a major source of power in the world. Calandra herself, this harpy woman, this winged lady, wandered the primordial world for a time until she came across an impossibly vast lake.
This harpy wandering a vast ocean at a time, just looking for alimony payments to collect, bitch.
So yeah, it's it's like this world of magma. It's like very primordial, but she finds like a lake of water, liquid water, right? She says it's impossible. She says it's impossibly big in her descriptions of it.
That's the
Lord
first
White,
time she's seen water. It could have been
yeah,
any size.
true, yeah. It is like it is impossibly big for her because, as we'll come to learn, it is boundless for her. It's
I see.
essentially this lake is a prison for her, known as the Lake of Calandra, is her prison. Loreboy's canon is that she was drawn to the lake as Narcissus was to see her own reflection. I don't think that's an original idea on my part, but one of the most important items in the game, certainly one of the rarest drops, is something called the Mirror of Calandra, which, due to its value, serves as a sort of like currency. It's like an item in game, which, like Stones of Jordan in Diablo 2, for those who are in the know, once you get to late game in these ARPGs, gold, like you need too much gold, more gold than you can carry to buy things that you need or trade with other players, because the economy just gets so inflated by the end of the game,
Okay.
end of the day, right? So it's kind of like in World of,
in Ottawa trying to fix the Diablo economy.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just got pockets full of gold and a bunch of mirrors that he's going to give to people and hopefully fix things for us. And this Mirror of Calandra, that is this for Path of Exile. It's named after her. The only reason I say she was attracted to the lake for her reflection is because she also has a mirror named after her. So I think it's fun. There is also an evil reflection of Calandra in the lake, which can occasionally be encountered by the player. So you do get to go here in one of the expansions or updates they released. You were able to travel to the Lake of Calandra and meet Calandra, and you can meet her evil reflection, and she has an effect where she like can make bosses harder in an area for you to get like better
cool.
drops and stuff like that.
Cool.
Nothing really known about why there's an evil reflection of her, why you can talk to. It's got red eyes, so you know it's evil, right? I don't.
Okay,
I actually think, and forgive me if I get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure they only know it's evil because in the game files it's called Evil Calandra. So like, and it has red eyes, so it's obviously evil, right? But there's nothing like inherently evil about it. It's just like in the game files, it's called evil. A fair bit of lore comes from
data mining.
From the game files.
Interesting. I love that.
Yeah, I'll bring up the other big one that I can remember right now. But if I think of another one before we get there, I'll mention it. So regardless of why she went to the lake, like I said before, once she arrived there, she was unable to leave, for simply to watch the world beyond from this point. Anytime she leaves, she inevitably finds her way back with no memory of her time away. So in the lake, there's these, I think 6 or 7 ancient etchings, they're called, spread around, which are just these little lore pieces. They seem to be written by her, Calandra.
It's like Memento. She's leaving like Polaroids around to like
pretty much
trust.
Yeah. She tattoos a rock and like puts it somewhere so she can find it later.
Right. Okay.
I haven't seen Memento. I think that's what it's about. So here's a quote from one of the ancient etchings that you can find in the game. I do not understand my prison. Every time I attempt to leave the lake, I find myself instantly returning, as if I am making the choice to turn around and come back. In some cases, if I build up enough speed, I can make the transition take several minutes. Yet, I remember nothing of my time outside. Is this a real prison or one whose walls reside only in my mind? What happens to me in those moments I cannot recall? So she's trapped there. She's stuck there. We'll talk a bit more about it towards the end of the episode, but she does want to leave. It's mentioned that like throughout the millennia, like countless years from the dawn of time until the player character is basically involved, like people will approach her and try, and like she'll offer to help them if they can get a way for her to get out of here, basically.
Okay, cool.
But no one ever succeeds. So whether or not it'll come up in Path of Exile 2, I couldn't say, obviously.
Just going out with the Harpy boys and then like just getting blackout drunk. She's like, every time I return to the lake, I've got a new traffic cone. I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, exactly. And just traffic cones tattooed with like little messages to herself. A grocery list.
Please return.
Yeah. So from her lake, she's able to watch Titans emerge. What the Titans are exactly is pretty unclear, but probably Titans as we would think of them, like these large elementals, primordials, something like that. The Titans seem to live in the various volcanoes around this sort of like magmascape that the world is. And it is in these calderas of these volcanoes that the first ancestors to humans appear. Presumably once the world had begun to cool somewhat, but that's, I mean, not confirmed, I guess, one way or another. Okay. It's funny that humans seem to be formed in like what would presumably be the hottest place on Earth, the caldera where the lava is pouring out of. But
yeah,
I think it's
feet back then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. People were, men were men back in the day. That's
Yeah, exactly. We
walk
had tough feet.
walk uphill to school both ways through a river of lava.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
God, can you imagine how insufferable volcano boomers would be, dude?
oh,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, they'd never shut up
Yeah.
about it for
Ground's
sure.
on
Yeah,
fire uphill both ways in the winter. It's like that's too much.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, neck deep in snow and ankle deep in lava.
That might be kind of comfortable. Your ankles would be hella cozy, like perfect temperature.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that this idea, it is very like Greek mythology. I find where it's like, man was kind of forged out of this lava, this like primordial essence in some way, rather than being like just like evolution.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna say Loyal Boys canon evolution doesn't exist in PoE. People just
Okay.
are the way that they are, I guess.
Okay. So Path of Exile is a documentary. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
So another ancient etching describes Calandra's observation of things around this time, I guess of all time, but I am the one who watches. I observe from afar as flowers blossom and fade, as trees shoot skyward then fall, and as whole animal breeds populate and change. They are growing smarter in small ways, and watching their antics keeps me sane. One day they will understand what it is to be alive, and they will wonder why they are. I will give them guidance. More than that, I will not say. I will spare them the pain of knowing. She's going to keep being cryptic about all that again. Part of me thinks that Grinding Your Games, the creators of Path of Exile, should develop Calandra more in Path of Exile 2. Unless they did in the first one and I missed it, but I'm pretty sure I read through all the lore around her. But yeah, I do think they've well seeded a storyline for her in Path of Exile 2 at this point, right?
Cool. Okay.
And like all these things that she kind of hints about essentially. But she's watching, civilizations flourish again, flowers and trees at a certain point, so the earth does kind of cool down, become earth. One of the earliest known civilizations, known as the primevals, took to living underground. So these are humans. They are called primevals. They're obsessed with like gems. They kind of turn into like a gem people, I guess, sort of like a mix
Their
of
bodies.
So I mean, I think there's two in the whole game that you meet that aren't like corrupted, which is On, and I'm not gonna remember the second one's name, but On is like probably the first king, so the king of this primeval civilization. And there's another one as well, and they look like elementals to a large degree. So my headcanon, Lore Boys canon, is that these were early humans in a time when we had these like elemental titans kind of ruling the earth. So they probably there's probably overlap interbreeding. They're kind of a mix of the two.
Okay.
And
Tried to look up primevals from Path of Exile, and apparently in your hideout you can decorate. And one of these absolute legends and also perverts did like a fucking upskirt panty shot of the robot from Nier Automata.
Nice.
This is like the third result when I was like primeval Path of Exile.
I will say, in all the episodes I have ever researched, with the amount of lore that this game has, and like the size of the player base, it seems like decently big and everything. There are so few images. Like it's so hard to find like a screenshot of a thing that people talk about in this game.
Really?
Yeah, I really struggled to just get like enough pictures to really like make some of these things make sense to me. And the primevals is one of them. I like saw it in somebody. I watched a couple lore videos. I think it was Triceratops try something. But he had a video of like two of them appear on screen for like a half second or whatever, but I could not find
really?
those pictures anywhere else. So I don't know if they are actually from the game or not. Either way, they're people obsessed with the gems of underground. They go to live underground. I'm gonna
And
say
also
Lorway's,
robot thighs.
and also robot. But
I found more pictures of like.
I did say they're human, so
that's true. Yeah, we can't resist. I found more pictures of just pervy hideout decorations in my Google search. So I think it's just a thing people do. Is add big titty anime girls.
So it's speculated the primevals were led by their first king, the An, who I mentioned before, through these underground caves where they were kind of going. They go under the mountains, find a place to settle. He teaches them how to ice fish canonically. So they're doing okay.
Very fun, honestly. I used to love ice fishing. We never had a shack or nothing, but going out for a day, a lot of fun.
And it's underground, so they're all underground. So it's still, this is probably before the flowers and the trees develop. That's my Lore Boys canon, is that it's still magma up top. pretty hostile environment for your farmers to try and invent cows fucking or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Things are going well, pretty well, right? If you're gem obsessed and you live in caves, it's a good place to live, right? What came first, the gem obsession or the living in caves? Who knows? The chicken and egg, but that is until some jerks decide to crack open the crust of the earth, spill out into the Azerite mines where the primevals live, and kill them all. That is the second picture that I sent you. The lightless, also known as abyssals, pour out of the ground from the darkness underneath the earth. There was like a league, as it's called. There's like a big update that was developed entirely around these guys as like the main enemies, the lightless. They're just like shadow race, I guess is like the easiest way to describe them, probably. Just
very cool. A lot of green
people.
energy and black armor. Very neat.
Yeah. Canonically, the Titans on top ally with the primevals under the ground to try and drive back the lightless, but they don't. I wouldn't say they succeed. I'm going to say they kind of come to a stalemate because the lightless will come back. I mean, they come back in the game. You end up fighting them again, so it will happen a third time, I guess. But there is another civilization of humans known as the Markarth who will also fight back the lightless at some point in the future. Okay. But for the first time, they have them contained. It seems like they got them contained to like the Azerite mine where the primevals lived, with the help of the Titans kind of working together with these proto-humans or these early humans.
Okay.
So this is a quote on the lightless from Path of Exiles, the Abyss Challenge League update. Before Solaris graced Ray class, a race of repulsive beings fearful of light populated the gloomy wastes. They were thought to be long dead, with few traces and no mentions in historical accounts. That is, until the earth itself was torn asunder. So, a few things there. Before Solaris graced Ray class, that is like before there was a sun, like the shadow monsters lived here. I'm gonna say it's like the goddess of the sun, Solaris, is a character. It is like a mob in the game. It's a boss that you can fight at some point. So you fight the sun and the moon, Solaris and Lunaris. Cool. I'm gonna say it is not actually the sun. It is more a metaphor of like she's the goddess of the sun essentially, but there's probably still a sun because presumably the world doesn't just turn into a block of ice once you beat this one boss in act whatever, right? But who knows? So the lightless take up roost in Azerite mine for a time, while the remaining humans on the surface slowly spread out, creating a number of different civilizations, the first confirmed of which is known as the Val. So this is the item descriptions that I mentioned to you. So there's two item descriptions which kind of describe the creation of this first civilization. So the first one reads, "From the flesh of gods, Zibakwa was born. From the carnage of Zibakwa, we were born. It is our duty to return to the gods what once was theirs." This item description basically says like there was this figure named Zibakwa, no idea who that is. We don't really hear other mention of them beyond this, who did something to the gods, created carnage, maybe killed some gods, and it was from that that the first human civilization claims that they were born.
Okay.
Another item describes or has a quote that says, "Zibakwa's treachery was met with divine fury. One by one, the gods reclaimed their flesh until all that remained was a droplet of pure light, the first Val, the first human of their civilization." Again, we have the primevals, who were already humans. We know, this is the other bit I know from the game files. So in the game files, the primevals are called the Proto-Val. But
okay, cool.
But there's no in-game like lore, canon, whatever that actually ties the two races together. There's nothing that really confirms the primevals are human beyond that one like game file referencing to them as Proto-Val. So who really knows? Loreboy's canon is that like this is just a creation myth, as every civilization has. You know, that it's probably not the exact way it went down, but that's the creation myth that they kind of have. So
there's not necessarily like an actual like in a primeval cave. There's not like hand paintings of game files on the cave walls, right? Describing their myths of just like Proto-Val _ whatever chr.txt. It's just like yes, it's the spoken word of God himself, basically.
Yeah. a bunch of monkeys surrounding like an obelisk just carved with like Unix code, basically.
Yeah.
So the Val are notably the first civilization that we have sort of a recorded history from. They're also notably no longer around by the time the player character washes up on the shore. So they are an ancient race. The Val are going to be our classic, ancient yet advanced civilization, the people Graham Hancock warns you about.
Yeah. He's trying to use lidar to find fucking text files all over Egypt these days, dude. You can't find any apparently.
Yeah. So
So they're the
Val,
Atlantis or the imaginary version of Egypt, right? Like
yeah.
basically of the story.
I mean, it's going to be a mixing, and we really should have Graham Hancock on at some point because the Val are the first people to discover and use magical items known as virtue gems. So
Okay.
we've got magic rocks, basically.
Fuck.
An old.
I've got a little bit of water in here. I'll hit it.
I've got some.
It's 1:45. I don't have any booze.
Everyone at home, it's a tradition here. Anytime magic rocks come up in the lore, we all take a drink, and that's not going to be the last drink we're going to take for these people, but it is kind of a staple.
That's
so
an 8-year tradition because like the first 2 episodes or the first like 2 or 3 episodes we covered back in 2017 was just like something and a magic rock. Like this is day 0 lore boy shit right here.
Yeah, it's in Team Fortress 2 has magic rocks. I know that for sure.
Yeah, doesn't Zelda as well with like the crystals of the
probably
or something? I don't know.
I'm not gonna say Zelda does not have any magic rocks in it. That's definitely a lie. So these virtue gems are some of the most important items in Path of Exile. They were what I was talking about before, the game's mechanics orbiting incremental gear upgrades. These are these like these socket gems that you put into your sockets to empower your abilities.
Okay.
They can be found all over Rayclast, but there's no knowing how many there actually are. They do all originate from the same place, a place known as Mount Veruso.
Okay.
We're going to go into the creation of... We're going to go into a bit of the history of like how the virtue gems came to be, I guess. So we're going to kind of come back to the Val Civilization to touch on, but we're not going to talk too much about the Val specifically. Okay. We do know that in Val Civilization, virtue gems were used for all sorts of wild experiments, from placing them inside one's body to try and power yourselves with magic and like infuse yourself with magic, to powering their ancient robots. So we do have magic rocks powering ancient robots, which is another staple here that we all take a drink for.
Yeah. I'm going to need to refill my water or go to the corner store to do this properly.
Yeah, we'll take some shots after the break, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'll catch up later when I got some stuff to do today. I'll catch up later. I'll drink 4 beers in a row.
Yeah, I'm not doing shots before I snow blow my driveway because there's a foot of snow on it right now, but we'll at some point, I'm sure. So to find out how the virtue gems are made, we're going to visit an area known as the Chamber of Innocence, capital I, where we get the following Bible story from the Oriathan Templars. This is on a piece of stained glass that you can find in game. The mother of 2 gave birth to 2 twin boys, Innocence with eyes of burning red, Sin with eyes of clearest blue. Innocence lived honestly and was pure of heart, while Sin was deceitful and indulgent, deafening his ears to his mother's pleas. When bread was broken, Innocence was rewarded for his virtues, eating to his heart's content, while Sin was punished and left to pick up the scraps. One day, Innocence witnessed Sin stealing a fish from the market and lying to the watchman who caught him. Sin then beat Innocence until he promised that he wouldn't tell. However, Innocence bore witness to the mother of 2. Mother and son decided that the only way to purify his corruption was to burn him at the stake. As he burned, Sin was turned to ash, and the ash entered into the minds, lungs, hearts of the townfolk. With the ash of Sin within them, townsfolk began turning on each other. Their flesh began to merge, bonding until a single writhing giant was formed, forged of strife and hatred. This giant, too, Innocence condemned to flame. Innocence swore to himself that, no matter where the ashes of Sin fell, his purifying flames would rise to meet them.
Cool.
So that's the Sin and Innocence, these twin brothers born to this mother of 2. This is an Asmeri, another human civilization's myth about these two gods, essentially. They're the 3rd and 4th pictures that I sent you. It's essentially a golden angel and then a black angel, like a super dark angel.
Okay, yeah. The black angel is really cool because his wings are like just big clawed hands covered in smoke instead of having like flight feathers on the tips, and then he's got kind of like smoky feathers underneath. He does look very neat. Mm-hmm. And then the other guy is just made of golden light, and instead of wings, he has like laurels coming up and going, or like maybe like bull horns. Very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Very golden calf-esque. I wouldn't trust him personally.
Well, yeah, so we shouldn't, honestly. I mean, so just to recap that story, and I did kind of like bury the lead a little bit, talking about how evil Calandra has red eyes. Innocence is born with red eyes, so burning red. Sin is born with the clearest blue eyes. Sin is a character that you meet in game, very central, like NPC too. He's like a quest giver for you, essentially. Towards, I think it's like Act 6 is the first time you talk with him, and then Act 9 and 10 pretty much revolve around him.
Okay.
And we're going to talk a lot about Sin, much more than we will talk about Innocence. But the way the story goes in this this church of the Oriathan Templars is that Innocence was born. He was innocent. He was good. His brother was fed scraps while Innocence like ate to his heart's content. So he goes and steals some food. And then when he gets caught, his mother gets convinced by Innocence to burn him at the stake for it, basically, right? Which feels like,
him.
yeah, it feels like even in their Bible story, like it still feels like they're the bad guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It still really feels like there's not too much there. But just like the Bible, its veracity is a little dubious.
It would just be like the Old Testament, but like all it is turning women to salt and burning cities, and there's like no actual creation or like God's love at all. It's just it's all the cool shit that he does, all the hardcore, and it's like, no, he's the good guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's way easier to justify massacring people on a crusade this way, I suppose. If it's just like those poor people are stealing bread, get them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
your version of retaking the Holy Land.
I mean, that's probably pretty accurate for it, right?
To be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Yeah, in the war room at the Vatican.
Like, yeah, I guess like Pope Innocent or whoever was Pope at the time in the 10th century.
Yeah. So at this point in Rayclass history, we do have gods. It seems like any Joe Schmo with a big enough following could become a god. Not unlike our world today. You know, Haley Welch, obviously, the most recent example that comes to mind. Hawk to a girl, as some know her.
She burned a little too brightly, though. I think she's coming down already. She's got wax wings. Yeah,
she'll get away with it all. She'll still be immensely rich at the end of this whole crypto scam.
Exactly.
Whether or not she was involved.
Alternatively, may go to jail with Sam Bankman-Fried. We did get one of them.
We got one. That's true.
Yeah,
but he wasn't a podcaster. Podcasters are untouchable.
That's true. We are. We should. I really do need to commit more fraud.
Yeah, Boycoin.
Yeah.
Buy now. So this has always been the way. Humans powerful or charismatic enough are able to ascend to divinity, and this was something that obviously many humans seek for themselves, right?
Yeah.
So an Oriathan Templar in more recent times, I think they're still alive in game when you're as the player character, ponders at this old story about Goody Two Shoes innocence and decides to do a little looking into it, and comes up with a theory that maybe like Innocence's game was to become a god. So in her diary, which you can steal and read, pop the little lock on. You can read
Innocence
this.
is dotted with a heart, obviously, on every page.
Yeah. No, sin would be dotted with a heart, probably.
Oh, excuse me.
Innocence is dotted with a frowny face. So in her journal, it says, Sin was born as the twin brother of Innocence. Innocence was ambitious. He wanted to ascend to become a god. However, his initial attempts were failures as his follower base was too small to spark divinity. Innocence turned his followers onto Sin, vilifying him and using their power of hatred to fuel his ascension to godhood for both Sin and himself. This was the original Sin. While Innocence became lauded and golden, Sin became black as coal. So it's essentially like social media today. Like he just posting like hate on social media, and like enough people are clicking it that he gets to become a god.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Whichever interpretation you take, which again, it's up for interpretation. I think the way that it's all presented, especially like considering you meet Sin in game, and I believe Innocence might be a boss in the game. Like it's pretty clear to me that like this latter interpretation is probably the correct one. That they were twin boys. Innocence wanted to become a god, so he vilified his brother. Like just chose a scapegoat to essentially like get the hate clicks on. But because they were twins, they both end up ascending. Is my lore boys canon? Like it was just the fact that Sin was also a twin. Maybe the hatred of the followers probably helped as well of Sin, but Innocence seems to have risen to the task of godhood as it was defined at the time, while Sin seems to be more skeptical of the role. And the fifth picture that I sent to you is with Sin at the bottom of the pantheon, essentially, where you see all these gods kind of crowding on top of crowded on top of his wings. And at the top of that, you see a rather nasty looking beast whom we're going to talk about a little bit.
Yeah. It's very cool. It's like a tapestry or something that you would
find. Yeah, exactly. It's like a mosaic style, sort of, or tapestry style. Yeah.
Very cool.
Sin decides.
There is one kind of, I don't know if this is an Easter egg or this is just the style of it. Up and to the left of Sin's like 3-pointed crown, there does just look to be like fan art of the bird guy from Death Note.
I don't know the bird guy in Death Note. I will say that like up directly to the left of the counter reminds me of, and I don't know what show it's from, but like there's like the goblin and the guy in the rhino mask, and it's like me and the guys chilling is like the meme. They're all just like doing a goofy smile. He's got a smile like that.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah.
uh, so Sin decides that how the whole situation went down, him being reviled for people and blamed for all the ills of mankind, is not exactly chill. He sees some, perverse qualities in the gods, which we'll talk about in a little, like whether or not it is being divine that corrupts you, or it's the fact that corrupt people are driven to become divine.
Right.
See politics, right? Like,
yeah.
Visit the politics Wikipedia page, and maybe you'll get an idea for it. But like, that's kind of the principle is like, are people corrupt when they run for office, or does being in office corrupt them?
Right.
We don't really know, but Sin sees either way that like, hey, all the gods are pretty much corrupt one way or another.
I personally say both, and actually the power just actually makes them worse.
Yeah, probably.
One of the things that I've heard a few times is just like people who should be president don't want to be president because you need to be a fucking sociopath to be the
president. Yeah, exactly. So one such god, the sixth picture, is Garukan, Queen of the Winds, and why we know that, and this is kind of why we know that this has a pretty profound effect on Sin. So Sin describes Garukan in Act 9. A traveler on the winds, Garukan proudly plundered the sky for its secrets. To her mind, wisdom could be found in the eye of a hurricane. Please understand that Garukan is not an evil being. She was once my friend and companion. Her beauty astonished me as her aspirations inspired me. Yet I must forego my sentiments for the sake of humankind. Like winds erode the sandstone, Garukan has been warped by the same powers she enslaved. This is not my goddess that you shall slay, and if I continue to say it, I might very well come to believe it. So this is someone that Sin loved, who has essentially, in his mind, watched be corrupted as a god.
She's just like six-armed like druid sort of thing, right?
Yeah, she's Queen of the Winds, so she's kind of like she's got like a bird-shaped helmet on, I guess. But yeah, she's got 6 arms, big shield, which kind of looks like a wing, I guess. And then in her other the 3 arms on her left side, she kind of has weapons. And
sword,
she has a boss,
like a claw thing.
Yeah, and she has a boss that like Sin sends you to kill at some point, right?
Okay.
Because even though he loved her and she saved his life at some point, he sees like this corruption of the gods, and he, perhaps uniquely among the gods, wants to do something to stop it.
Okay.
But more
My
on that.
Is, learning from the wind. I need you to go kill her.
Yeah, exactly. After the break, we'll break a little wind, I guess, as they say. I weep for my poor Garukan. Together we experienced the loftiest moments that this world could offer. Alas, it was my heavy heart that she could no longer bear. I knew her pride would one day be the storm that would ravage my precious humanity. In truth, it was for Garukan that I sowed the dark ember within the depths of Highgate. When love cannot be slain, it must be laid down to sleep. That was Sin, once more, lamenting the necessity of his past actions to the player character. Welcome back from the break, everybody. We're going to talk about what the dark ember is, how do you put a god to bed, all this other stuff.
All I was thinking is just like the scene from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where Sin is just like smothering Garukan in her bed, just like crying.
Yeah, 6 arms trying to pull off the pillow.
Throws a drinking fountain out the window.
So in order to stop Garukan from some evil or corrupted part of herself, Sin creates something called the Dark Ember. We know very little of the actual ritual he uses to create it originally, but Sin has a quote in Act 9 that describes some chimeric acid, which he needs the player to get, which gives us a glimpse into the toll it took in creating. So the quote from Sin is, "Basilisk acid drips from the hearts of these venomous monsters, though I cannot blame them for their disposition. They are tragic creatures. Theirs is a sorry tale more closely tied to my own than I care to dwell upon. Alas, the forging of my dark ember produced some rather unfortunate byproducts. But we shall not see any success if I'm to dwell on those past errors." So at some point in Act 9, Sin is trying to get you to get him the materials to create a new dark ember. And again, I know I haven't really described what it is yet, but that's kind of where that description comes from, is like, you're going to fight these terrible monsters with this acid that drips from their hearts. And he's like, yeah, they were created by me whenever I created the dark ember. So whatever the ritual was, it clearly corrupted some things in the natural world. Specifically, it's chimeric acid that he's going to find. So chimera being a sort of a mashup of a few different monsters.
Right.
That's probably like the corruption, probably like corrupted multiple different monsters to all become one thing. And we're going to talk more about corruption, kind of what it is in this setting. But
Still fucking no pictures of this thing. Like I found a character with a single line written about him.
yeah, no, I mean, this is like ancient history. This is before recorded history that he is creating this thing in the first place.
Right. Okay.
And the Dark Ember will turn into something else at some point when we talk about that thing at the top of the fresco picture, which I sent you.
Okay. Okay.
Fresco is the word I was looking for, not mosaic. It just came back to me. So Sin, in seeing his love for Garrican tainted by ambition, resolves to create this Dark Ember and comes up with a plan. He's going to put all the gods to sleep. He's like, probably can't kill them all, I guess. Maybe doesn't want to kill them because he loves Garrican. But he's going to put them all to sleep because he realizes they're a danger to humanity, the gods being around, right? They're too powerful.
Okay. I need you to go get like chimeric Zoloft or whatever.
Yeah.
It drips from their hearts. It drips from the boxed wine on the back of the Chimera. And put the gods to sleep.
I need you to collect chimeric acid, an internal combustion engine, and a hose, okay? So to do so, he's going to use the Dark Ember to create a being, something that the people of Rayclass would variously describe as the Beast, the Nightmare, or the Darkness. Okay. Surely all chill and good nicknames to give an easygoing dude. Am I right? So the Beast,
I mean, the Beast or the Darkness would be like what a goth kid in high school calls himself. So he may actually be a bit of a pushover.
Yeah. And one thing we can say for sure, he believes in a thing called love.
Yeah.
Just listen to the rhythm of my black heart and we'll get it. His black heart is what the Dark Ember becomes. So
I see.
So the Beast is that picture at the top of this. It's a very Stranger Things-esque looking figure with sort of like this, like a very fish-like or shark-like head, maybe you'd say, sort of like a hammerhead, but with 4 prongs coming off it, maybe.
Yeah, like a very fleshy X for a face instead of eyes. It looks like his face is cut open and there's like meat on the inside instead of sight.
Yeah, and dinosaur hands.
Oh yeah, he does have dinosaur hands. He also looks like that picture of like the guy with the spiky star face, standing next to the rhino guy in that meme you referenced earlier.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's
I want to say it's like, I think that's Spider-Man because I think the rhino is I know Rhino's like a Spider-Man villain, right? I don't know who. Like there's a lightning guy clearly, but
yeah. I don't know. Searching Spider-Man meme doesn't even. I don't even know how to search for that. Like. That meme, somebody crunch at us. So Sin is going to create the darkness, the Beast, I should call him, because that's kind of the in-game name that's used the most. But Sin probably couldn't do this alone, right? So it is Lore Boys canon, probably again accepted in the lore community around Path of Exile, that Sin had help from Calandra to create the Beast. So Calandra, and some of those ancient etchings that you can find around her lake, espouses a belief that she has developed over untold millennia, watching gods and mortals rise and fall, that gods aren't worth it. So she shares a similar belief to Sin that, like, hey, gods aren't really a great thing to have around.
Yeah, especially if it's like people who are ambitious are getting deified. There's probably like
exactly
a lot of ego you have to deal with that leads to holy wars and shit like that. So
yeah, which I think like what cements it even further is like this idea that Sin only became a god because of his overly ambitious brother and the fact that he was his twin and somehow linked, like they both ascended together, but like Sin never wanted it, right? So that's why Sin is the one looking out for humanity. A real twist that it was Sin who's the good guy, right?
Yeah.
So
Calandra all night writing that one.
Yeah. So Calandra describes some problems of faith and belief, how gods are forced to become mirrors for those who believe, ultimately corrupting them. So Calandra's stance on it seems to be more of a, hey, like humans are flawed and they pour all this belief into you, and it's usually like it can be their worst virtues that they pour into you. Again, with like Sin, like they just poured all their hate into him essentially, or like maybe you could argue like they did that with innocence towards Sin, but
right, yeah.
This is pretty in line with Sin's beliefs, and Calandra even has an ancient etching which reads, I look away from Rayclass for but a moment, and the scampering little ones have invented religion. What is a god but a thief of virtue? The prey have no idea they are creating their very own predators. So pretty much a 1-to-1. It also just so happens that our boy Sin, has some dialogue calling himself a thief of virtue. So Calandra asks, what is a god but a thief of virtue? She describes sin as a thief of virtue. It's not absolutely clear how sin creates the ember, but in one of her other etchings, Calandra writes, what you need, my little thief, is a shattered mirror. So kind of, we're lore boys kind of deep here at this point, but given the importance of mirrors of Calandra in the game being like the most valuable item you can get in the game, essentially, in my opinion, it's safe to say she not only provides one to Sin to help in the creation of the Dark Ember, but she corrupts it by breaking it to use in Sin's profane ritual, right?
Okay.
So it's she says you need a shattered mirror to him, and I think it's implied that she gives him a shattered mirror or shatters one of her mirrors for him, this very powerful item to create this Dark Ember.
Right. Channel 7 years of bad luck directly into the Dark Ember, basically, right?
Yeah.
To put the gods to sleep.
Yeah. How the item of the Mirror of Calandra works, actually, I didn't write this into the script, but it will create a copy of an item, a mirrored copy. I don't know what mirroring actually does, if like the direction of the sockets like matters or anything like that. But it creates a mirrored copy of an item. So you can just like straight up get like the best actually like usable item in the game, then you can use a Mirror of Calandra to just copy it. So it seems like they're just used as like 99% of the time used as currency parking lots for just like, you have a lot of money. It's like, it's a proxy currency essentially for in the economy. But so I keep using the word corrupting. Why is corruption so important? Thousands of years later, in Act 9, Sin has this to say about the Dark Ember. The Ember is a seed, the black core of the beast's heart. It is the pure, undiluted essence of corruption. Everything my pet once was, all of its power, the stupefying effect it had on us gods, it all dwells within this Dark Ember. So, like, it is described as corruption, is this thing. So again, like the need to break the mirror to kind of corrupt a mirror, I think stems from the fact that like this ember is the heart of corruption itself. So the mirror somehow took this like the power of the divine and corrupted it in a way to put all the gods to sleep. Which is kind of like Calandra's like mirrored, it mirrors them in mirrors the power in some way, right? Instead of being divine power, it's like directly anathema to divine power. It's something in game that's called thaumaturgy, which we'll talk about a bit more later.
Okay, cool.
Sin takes this.
The corrupted mirror is just like one of those like interrogation mirrors where you've got just like you turn the lights off, there's like the big harpy lady just standing behind it, like watching the cops talk to you.
Yeah, all two-way mirrors are corrupted mirrors, or one-way mirrors are corrupted mirrors.
People call it a two-way mirror. I've always heard it that way, but it's just like
it's not.
You can only see through one side of it.
Yeah, it's not a mirror two ways. It's a mirror that works in two different ways. I don't know.
Yeah. I've never been arrested, so I've never been in front of the mirror personally.
It's like biannual, meaning twice a year and every 2 years time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. English is easy to learn, foreigners, okay?
Yeah. Can't you speak American?
Dumb rules.
Yeah. So Sin takes this seed, the Dark Ember, apparently made out of corruption, straight from the tap, and plants it in some rich soil at the base of, you guessed it, Peter, come on, Mount Veruso, where the virtue gems are found.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say the crystal cave that the primevals were from.
No, nice guess. So from the ember, the beast grows, and this is a gender reveal no one had the chance to miss.
Okay.
It's a massive thing. It's built into Mount Veruso beneath the town of Highgate, which was built at some point on top of the Dark Ember.
Okay.
It's large enough that there are at least 3 distinct zones which take place inside it in the game.
Holy shit. Okay.
So the final boss fight for Act 4, you fight inside of the beast.
Cool.
Someone named Malachi, a dark thaumaturgist. But yeah, it's you venture into like the belly of the beast. There's like you see its black heart at some point, like the Dark Ember, and you fight in like that zone. It's a map in the game.
When you guys do like another, I mean, maybe we'll do it one day. We'll do a gender reveal for another baby born during the show, where it's just like black smoke and like you got like the cute little like pink and blue balloons, and you just like pop all of them. It's just like ash,
like sludge, yeah. Fucking petroleum. So the god's divine power is suppressed. It keeps them in check essentially by knocking them out of the game while the beast is around at the time. The beast also has the added effect of preventing any new humans from ascending to godhood, at least not easily. This got a little bit confusing for me, so bear with me, diehard lore fans. Another bit of Lore Boys canon here, since I couldn't find the source explicitly stating that new gods couldn't be created. It's just that it makes it much more complicated for them to ascend. And the beast does also hold some influence over any gods who do exist. So again, like you end up fighting some of the gods. You fight Lunaris and Solaris at some point. It's on me for not researching how they woke back up at some point. But
Okay.
In criticism of our storied, I guess, Lore Boys canon principles, some people who have seemingly dedicated a PhD's worth of time to Path of Exile lore say that new gods can't be created. So the people say it. I don't. I couldn't find the exact like quote from in game that says it. There must be like a piece of logic somewhere that has led them to that conclusion. I couldn't find it. So I'm just gonna say probably can't create them, but I'm gonna leave the door open for if there is a newly created god. It's because Lore Boys canon. It's just harder.
Okay.
There are still gods who are active, like I said. The beast plays some role in that. It is mentioned that many people will go to the beast to seek power. So again, Malachi, that the thaumaturgist, who you end up fighting. He is a very powerful thaumaturgist who goes to the beast to try and enslave it and become a god, it seems like, but he gets corrupted by it and ends up being a servant of the beast.
I've heard thaumaturge and thaumaturgy before in other games. What the fuck does it mean?
It means magic. I did look it up as well. It's just like it's ancient Greek for magic, performing miracles, something like that. So it is like the most basic of the urges, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, there's a very like kind of Greek basis to a lot of this mythology. Like one does like the ancient harpy, then the Titans, and then
Mount Veruso instead of Mount Vesuvius, I guess, being the location of the beast. Vesuvius being the Pompeii that exploded, right? So
yeah, exactly. The volcano near Pompeii, right?
Yeah. The god of all gods, or the controller of all gods, living on top of a mountain where they have Mount Olympus as well.
And like stealing power as well, which is like Prometheus is like strapped to that rock and pecked at by vultures or whatever. So
yeah. So 2 examples, like I said before, of gods who are active. We might cover them on a future episode, Solaris and Lunaris. If we talk about the Lightless and Marraketh, I think we would end up talking about them because they help to drive back the Lightless with a third unnamed sister. Something between light and dark. I don't know. I'm only mentioning all this to make it even clearer that I'm an idiot. This is all very muddy to me. But in case you didn't know at this point that I'm a dumbass, now you know. So the beast is also confirmed to corrupt those who get close to it, like I mentioned Malachi before. Many of those who come into contact with the beast are consumed to become part of it, becoming twisted nightmares of themselves. Sin assures the player character that the beast is not malevolent, indeed that it has no will or ambition of its own, and that it's just its essential nature to turn people into... It's just like
radioactive, basically.
Yeah, it is created from a seed of pure corruption, right? Like undiluted corruption. So like it corrupts. That's just what it does. It's the thing.
Like we know what it does. If you want to approach it without fucking gloves on, that's your choice. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. The intention of its creation was to suppress the gods and put them all to sleep, right? A side effect seems to be turning people into horrible shadow monsters of themselves or evil versions of themselves.
We couldn't have foreseen this.
Huh?
We could not have foreseen this.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't see why putting a nuclear waste dump under an elementary school went wrong. Like it was to keep the devils at bay.
Yeah. But now we've all got all these shadow children on the playground and can't fucking do anything.
Yeah, they're freakishly strong, let me tell you. So there are 2 other pieces which we do not know whether they are side effects or intended, right? That is thaumaturgy, which I mentioned before, and the creation of the aforementioned virtue gems as well. So in game, these virtue gems represent any skill or support gems you find in modern day are virtue gems. They're mined exclusively in Mount Veruso, and have only been around, as far as we can tell, since after the beast was created. So a lot of people speculate 2 + 2 = 4. The beast is somehow creating them. They only appear because the beast is there, basically.
Okay.
Thaumaturgy, on the other hand, is magic. It's magic for people. If you play a sorcerer class, you're using thaumaturgy, right? Like if you're casting spells in the game, it's thaumaturgy that you're using. It's just the word that they use for it, basically. It seems as though the beast being manifest in the world has unlocked the secrets of magic for all people, not just the divine, and is the canonical reason why shooting fire out of your pee hole is cool now, not just a bad euphemism for syphilis.
Okay.
And so the beast is, I think, confirmed like virtue gems are speculated to be from the beast. Like all signs point to yes. I believe the beast is confirmed to be the source of thaumaturgy, the source of magic. If you're a sorcerer, you are like pulling divine magic from the beast essentially to do so.
Well, if he's like redirecting, making it either impossible or difficult to create new gods, but like maybe Faith still has power, so it's like redirecting Faith into thaumaturgy, creating
Yeah,
magic. That is
that,
me having played 2 hours of this game, making like putting together the clues that have been put down here. But like, if power's being redirected and he's the source of magic, or it is, um, maybe.
yeah,
It's also creating like gems in the loot table. That's cool. Like
yeah.
that's
You're a dumbass too, because that's about exactly where I landed with this, and I have some fun lore boys canon I think for us to go into here.
Cool.
So my lore boys canon is that the advent of thaumaturgy, the creation of virtue gems, and the nullification of the gods is like it's all the same effect, just manifesting in different ways.
Okay.
So I choose to believe that the innate corruption at the black heart of the beast breaks the divine magic fueling the gods. That's what puts them to sleep, right? Takes off the guardrails, which require an exceptional soul to harness this power, letting anybody just become a god, right? And also fractures it. And these fractures kind of appear as crystallized shards of pure magical power. So
okay, right.
I kind of think of it as like there was a pipe. Think of the the greedy capitalist meme with like the starving child like getting a drop from the tap.
Yes.
Essentially, while the greedy capitalist gets the full flow. That was the god in humans. And Sin, what he did in creating the beast is he created like an L joint, which then, feeds the humans and cuts off the water supply for the greedy capitalist, basically.
Right.
And like those drops are virtue gems, and the stream itself is the magic that anyone can use. And now the gods don't have anything, so they're kind of going this, basically. Calandra's etchings do have a bit more to add to this as well. It's clear. However, from her last etchings, that she's primarily looking for a means of escape. And like I said before, there are people who keep coming to her, and she's trying to find a way to get out of here. And maybe in dealing with Sin, a little bit more Lobo's canon, maybe agreeing to help Sin create the beast and give thaumaturgy to people was the hope that somebody would be able to actually help her. Maybe the gods in the past had all promised to help her, and she gave them some tips on how to become a god. And then when they became a god, they all just decided to not help her, basically.
Yeah.
So she writes in Ancient Etching 6, "For a time, I truly had hope. For a time, I actually believed I was going to escape this place. Ones that scampered more furtively than most promised they would dedicate themselves to freeing me. They promised they would do whatever it took, no matter how many generations had to devote their lives to the effort. But once they understood the truth of this place, they took steps to make it harder to find and moved to erase me from recorded history. Then they burned themselves alive. Am I truly so forsaken, so untouchable, that none must be allowed to even know of me? In your fear, you consign me to oblivion. All I had to hold back the loneliness were my rare visitors." Again, there was a pretty big update where you do get to visit Calandra. And you get to find these ancient etchings. So you are one of the
few things that you actually have a picture of from the game, which every single Google search I've done, every time I've tried to pull up a clip, you're absolutely right. Nobody takes screenshots in PoE. Like, what the fuck?
It's crazy, yeah. Or like they just don't post them. I don't know. I was so surprised when I looked at it. I was like, I'm sure a fair number of people play this game. There's a lot of cool like imagery and symbolism, and like I'm sure there's cool boss fights, but I can't find any like interesting pictures from Path of Exile. It's so weird. That's the Sin. That's the creation of the beast, who again is a major character at the end of Act 9 and Act 10. You're, I believe, essentially trying to resurrect the beast in some form. In Act 6, I think you might kill the beast again. Haven't played the game past Act 1, so I don't really know.
There's 13,000 people playing Path of Exile right now, and we can't find any photos.
Take a picture,
exactly. One of you.
13,000 people playing Path of Exile, and it's probably way lower than normal because Path of Exile 2 Early Access just came out. So a huge portion of the player base is definitely playing fucking Path of Exile 2 right now, right? I guess, you know what? Forget Path of Exile 1. Just start taking screenshots of fucking Path of Exile 2. It's the prettier game anyway, but like, please, for the love of God, hit F12 right now. I know you're fucking listening. I know you fucking play it. Just fucking hit F12.
There is 551,000 people playing PoE2 right now. Just one screenshot, please, for us.
Yeah. PoE2, PoE, just like any fucking ARPG, is very much a second monitor. Like, you have a second monitor up when you're playing that game because it's very grindy, right? Like, you're just kind of grinding for drops at a certain point. So, like, podcasts are great for it. We know you're listening. Please take a fucking picture. It's picture day, okay? It's picture day for Path of Exile, everybody. So
Wouldn't that be
it's
a funny little community event to trigger by accident?
everyone dress up in like a cute little bow tie and a vest. Get some
If your
like good
character
light.
still got braces, if your shadow child still has braces on the playground, don't be ashamed. It's a cute picture.
So it's kind of this is the setting for Path of Exile 2. Again, the beast is like a pivotal part of the story. Sin is a pivotal character, especially in the late game acts 9 and 10. Act 10 is the last act of Path of Exile 1, if I'm not mistaken. So leading into Path of Exile 2 looks like it's going to be very important. I also think the Val, who we'll talk a little bit here before we end, are going to be very important in Path of Exile 2 because I watched the trailer and they talk about sacrifice a lot. No power without sacrifice, things like that. And the Val were big proponents of human sacrifice back in the day, I will say.
Okay.
They essentially powered magic with like a combination of virtue gems and human sacrifices was how they developed this like ancient, like super hyper evolved ancient civilization, right? Like high technology ancient civilization was with like robots and teleporters and light bridges and all this other stuff. It seems like something about sacrificing people also lends to it, which there's probably something there with like if it's people's belief that creates gods, there's probably like a bit of divinity in all of us, right? So in sacrificing someone would be a profane corruption of that divinity, and you just create like a probably huge amount of thaumaturgical magic in doing so.
I definitely know from experience that human sacrifice does increase your maize yield in your crop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also gets your testosterone right up there.
Oh yeah.
Just like our new pills. Check out loreboys.pills for more pill advice. Huh?
We're just gonna do all the fucking podcast sponsorships now. Like a shitcoin and dick pills. Like
Jamie's fixing the economy and we're selling dick pills now, okay?
Yeah. Hey, look. We gotta get that bag.
Yeah. We all gotta get that bag, guys. Come on.
Yeah. I wonder if Blue Chew is gonna do permanent damage to like thousands of men's reproductive systems.
I don't know. Probably. Viagra doesn't, I don't think. I think Viagra's fine, so.
I don't know.
Viagra, the only I know two things about Viagra. I know three things about Viagra. It's blue.
Pill's blue. Yeah.
That's one of them. I guess blue. I'm going to say blue and diamond shape. I'm going to include those as one fact.
Yeah.
Makes your dick hard. That I know. And in Top Gear, they say it's used. It can be useful when you go to high elevation because it increases your blood pressure, which is something that, or decreases your blood pressure, one or the other, I guess. And so, like when you go to really high elevation, it's sometimes useful to take Viagra because it helps your heart manage the thin air or something. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be funny? Because obviously it's hard to get bodies down off Mount Everest. So there's like landmark bodies, like Green Boots is one guy.
Just standing at attention. Yeah, I mean they are rock hard. They're frozen bodies. But.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but imagine just dying, standing at attention. They're just like it's like well, it's snowed recently, but the only thing poking out of a snowbank is just like some like decades old boner just poking out of the snow. It's like that's how you know you're almost at like base camp too.
Yeah, Green Boots, big dick. Yeah, exactly.
My sympathies to his family.
Yeah, sure. I don't think do they know who he is? Green Boots? I don't know. Who knows? This isn't Mount Everest lore. Although George Everest, for whom the mountain was named, never saw it. Never even went to Nepal.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't like that it was named after him.
So Green Boots here, just put this one in. Green Boots is the body of an unidentified climber that became a landmark on the main northeast ridge route of Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm. All we know is he's got green boots and a big hog.
Yeah, who took his IDs? Well, it's like we can't get his body down.
Someone grabbed his tags. Yeah. Tags. Okay, so the beast is created. Beast got a big dick, probably. Canon.
Canon. Try correcting that one, idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
Season 11 of PoE 1.
Try taking a screenshot, idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
The beast is created. It's the source of thaumaturgy, and it's into this kind of world that the first human civilizations formed, including the Val, whom I mentioned before. It's still covered in the world's still covered, I think, in the shadow of the Lightless at this point, or at least they're still living in the Azerite mine. Who knows? Again, the goddess Solaris not created yet at this point because the goddess Solaris is of the Asmeri, and the Asmeri is a human civilization, and the Val is a human civilization, but is the first human civilization. This is where like the timeline got really muddy for me with like new gods being created. I was like, if they say that Solaris and Lunaris are from the Asmeri who come after the Val, but the Val get off on their magic rocks, which were created after the beast, and I couldn't handle it. It was Friday at 9 p.m. and I was just like, I gotta just say that this is crazy, and somebody explain to me how it works, please. Join the Discord and tell me why I'm wrong. We love that here. So I'm gonna say world is still covered by the lightless. There's still no sun. But the Val find the virtue gems. They build a grandiose civilization with both them and thaumaturgy, like I mentioned before, and human sacrifice. So again, I'm gonna say they're going to be featured in Path of Exile 2, the Val, at some point, because human sacrifice. I don't know if there's other civilizations that do sacrifice in the game, but I don't care. I'm saying it's the Val, okay? Indeed, likely the most powerful thaumaturge to ever live was one of the Val. They were known as Doriani, the Queen's thaumaturgist. They would ultimately doom the Val civilization in their search for immortality. I did mention at the beginning of the episode that the Val are not around in today's day and age. Indeed, their major civilization fell. Another one rises, known as the Eternals, who are the Esmeri, basically. Their civilization will also fall by the time the player character ever gets born.
Yeah. Give it 5,000 years before starting to refer to yourself as the Eternals. Just it's bad branding.
Hedge your bets. Yeah. You're Eternal. You got all the time in the world to wait. Okay.
Yeah. Just call yourself something else, just in case the ultimate irony should befall your kingdom.
Yeah, the pretty long-lived guys. So I'm going to call my civilization. Around 900 BIC, the Val would descend from their mountain strongholds and greet some of the other fledgling human races, such as the Esmeri, gifting them with literature and animal husbandry. One thing they would not share the secret of, however, was the strange shimmering crystals they adorn their flesh with. So they do not share the secret of the virtue gems. It seems like the Val were probably like built on and around Mount Veruso, and they just happened to find it's the what is that book, that somewhat problematic book, Salt and Gunpowder, I think it's called.
Guns, Germs, and Steel.
Guns, Germs, and Steel, yeah. So it's like this idea, like my idea is like they just happen to be the ones that were growing up around the magic rocks, and that just let them have the advanced civilization, and they don't necessarily share that with other civilizations, but they do give them like literature and animal husbandry and some other tools of the trade, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that is very much the explanation. It's just like why was the Middle East so lousy with ancient civilizations? It's like because they had crops and water, and it's just like it's a very cold and like dead book, basically, because it's about humans, not people, right? It's about like the human animal. But yeah, it's very much just like, well, why them? It's like because they had seeds, and the Tigris and the Euphrates were like very good rivers. That's why.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I mean the Nile, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The Egyptian civilization, same thing. But the Valak Hubris and their ultimate downfall will have to wait for another episode. There's a fair bit there. Calandra, for her part, still waits. The last etching of hers you can find simply stating, "I have a plan. I will escape this place no matter the cost. For now, I must simply bide my time. Sooner or later, one will come, even despite the barriers. One will find their way to me, setting the proper events in motion." Again, there was a Calandra DLC. I don't know if she was set free already by the player character. If not, it's going to happen in PoE 2. If it happened in PoE 1, I couldn't find it.
Cool.
Okay, your game's too long. I looked it up. I was going to start playing it because I was like, I do like ARPGs. I play a fair amount of D2. The ladder resets every 3 months. I was like, I'm an adult. I have a kid. I don't have time every 3 months to make a new character. Okay, like I just, and I know I can play single player. Don't get at me with that. Okay, but I just don't have time to learn all your mechanics and everything. But it, by all accounts, seems like a pretty cool game. If you're into that sort of thing, do check it out. Seem like decent devs to support. They're from New Zealand. It's automatic +1 for me. Shout out Papa Bray. And other famous New Zealanders, Flight of the Conchords, right? Taika Sam Neill.
Russell Crowe. We did Gladiator last week.
Is he New Zealand? I thought he was Australian.
So did I, but I watched an interview with him yesterday after watching Gladiator, and he's turns out he's a Kiwi, I believe.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for listening, everybody. This has been our show. If you like it, consider leaving us a rating or review. It really can help the podcast to grow. Peter, do you want to talk about Instagram at all?
Yeah, at Loreboys Podcast on Instagram. I've been a little neglectful there. I know a lot of people have sent us memes. I always appreciate the contact. I always appreciate the kind words people send via DMs on Instagram. Keep it up. Keep up the follows. Keep up the likes. Yeah, and then patreon.com/theloreboys. There's also a 20 page preview of my first comic, which is out and available. My real life has gotten out of control, so I did not start working very much on that after the summer ended. I got a little bit done, and then things kind of fell apart, but keeping it together, and that will be done again Valentine's Day 20XX.
Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, consider joining the Discord, discord.gg/theloreboys, where you can give us a poke and talk to us and ask for new episodes and ask for more PoE lore or other lore. And if you're new here, welcome. And I hope you stay. Like Peter mentioned, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/loreboys, where you can get access to bonus stuff. Do check it out.
$80 very week if you're down in the States. Toss us $3. That could literally buy us a house.
Yeah, and if you want to support the show and you don't trust Patreon, we do have Lord Boys Prime, which kind of ties into that pretty nicely. We are looking for somebody to completely and utterly sabotage the Canadian economy, okay? And Americans listening, we know your president is already working on it, so like thanks for that, I guess. But we're really looking for somebody to really take it to the next level, I guess. And we just want, because we get paid, $3 American at a time by you guys, and we really appreciate it over on the Patreon. But the Lore Boys primers, if you can make that $3 worth $3 million, all the better, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And we figure rather than trying to build our base at this point, come on, who's got time for that? Let's just tank the Canadian dollar, destroy the Canadian economy, and we'll get rich like that. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
We make ad revenue off the internet anyway. It's like, what the fuck am I tied to the Canadian economy for? Because it's a Swedish company paying me anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Pete's dad is an accountant, so I'm pretty sure that this all makes sense.
It's genetic. I have his genetic memory. So you put me in the Animus, it's Assassin's Creed, but it's just fucking like Excel sheets.
And I think that would constitute a Lore Boys.
Lore Boys.
Excel sheet.